Hello everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It is me, Captain Logan, and filling in for DJ tonight is Austin the Day Ghost.
Hey, what's up?
Tonight, Austin and I are starting BatMay. It's going to be a whole month of mostly Batman stuff. Some of the requests and things won't be Batman related. There'll probably be some new things, but at least all the stuff that Austin and I are picking this month are going to be Batman related. And I thought, well, let's kick that off with the Captain Logan Show. That's all Batman questions. If you can come up with them, if we run out and we need to go to questions that aren't about Batman, and we've got some Patreon questions from last month that we haven't covered yet, we can go to the well and do some of that. But we'll go an hour tonight like we have been and see just how much Batman stuff we can talk about. I think I've done a Batman theme show or two in the past, so we'll see if some new questions can come up that we haven't tackled before, because obviously we talk about Batman a lot on this channel, but this will get us in the headspace for that theme throughout the month. And then right after that tonight, Austin and I are going to be reviewing Dark Detective by Steve Englehart from 2005, which is a 6-issue miniseries that kind of is a sequel to his run, or wraps up his run finally, however you want to look at it. And that was a thing that Austin's been wanting us to talk about for like a year, so we're finally going to get that knocked out. And we're bringing back the Comic Vault, guys. We're going to attempt to do that twice a month after the Captain Logan Show on Thursday nights, or at least as often as we can get it together and do that. And we're going to go back and forth on who picks them. So Austin's picking first. I'm going to pick next time, and I'm not going to announce what my pick is yet because I haven't decided. I'm between like 3 or 4 right now.
Oh, okay. You're gonna have to flip a 3-sided coin.
What I really need is two Two-Faces, both with coins.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That'll do it. Or maybe 3 Two-Faces. Or a 3-Face. Well, this is getting complicated now.
Well, in plural Two-Faces, would it be 2 faces?
Yeah, it'd be... Oh, yeah, good
I
call.
feel like we need like a better thing than 2 faces.
2 faces or 2 Two-Faces. Yeah, because you can't just say 2 faces, because then it would be just a face twice. It would be 2 Two-Faces.
Anyways,
I know we could really kill some time trying to figure out the logic of that, but we're not going to. Other quick house cleaning stuff, also continuing through BatMay. Tomorrow night, Austin and I are going to do a watch party. We're going to do a mini marathon. We haven't done one of these in a while. We're going to watch 4 or 5. I'm going to shoot for 5 episodes of New Batman Adventures, which is the kind of sequel series to Batman the Animated Series. For folks that don't know what I'm talking about, so that was when they redesigned the characters and put the emphasis a lot more on sidekicks. And Austin, I don't know if you're aware of how many episodes there are of that, because I thought it was shorter. It's 24.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of came out in 2 seasons. I always think of it as 1 in 1 year, but I don't think it was. I think it came out over a couple of years.
Okay, I feel like everybody just calls it season 4. So.
Yeah, but it isn't, and technically it's season 3 because all of the second season of the animated series dropped in the same year, so like I think, so it's complicated. Like I always thought of it as, I think the main reason I did that was because the old DVD releases they put out in 3 volumes, and then New Adventures was a 4th volume, and I always thought of those as seasons, but they're not. They were kind of arbitrary cutoffs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I find some shows, they didn't do the season thing. They just did arbitrary volumes. I think it's just when your like season length gets kind of weird.
So yeah, and that makes sense. And sometimes you just have like shows that are too long, and so they want to cut them up. But we don't do that as much anymore. And the nice thing now is with Blu-rays taking up less space, we can just put entire shows of several seasons in one box, and you're good, because they don't take up too much space. And that's how I try to buy things now. Like, I have sold individual seasons of things that I bought over the years when I finally get the full box. And I'm trying not to buy those anymore. I'm waiting for shows to finish before I buy shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Simmons is asking if we're going to do any Brave and the Bold. We should do that for our other non-rewind week this week.
That's a good idea, because I don't think we've done that show together before.
I think we did 1 episode on...
In a 24-hour stream?
No. When we did the wheel, the Wheel Show.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about
I don't
the
know
old
if that
Wheel
one
Show.
ever came out. I feel like
We had a couple that never got put up. Yeah,
yeah.
that's part of the reason I'm all live now is because that never happens anymore. Occasionally, we would make a thing that I just wouldn't get around to editing and would never get posted. I hate to
It
admit
happens.
that, but it's true. Well, and you'd get technical problems behind the scenes. That show had that a couple of times where I didn't have my audio issues figured out
Mhm.
with when I couldn't divide the audio between what's in the commentary. And anyway, this is not interesting to anybody, but that blew us out a couple times, and so I wasn't able to post those. But never fear, because now we just do really lengthy streams when we want to watch TV shows. So tonight we're gonna do we're going to do kind of a top super chatter gimmick, and the top super chatter tonight will get to pick the lineup, because I'm not I personally don't really care which episodes we do of that show, and
here.
some of the big ones we have covered in like 24-hour streams and things like that, and I'm fine going back to them if somebody wants us to. But for this one, I was kind of fine with somebody just doing the whole layout, all 5 picks. So I thought that would be kind of cool incentive. So if you want to try to get to pick all of the episodes for tomorrow night, if you're a fan of New Adventures of Batman, you can leave super chats in any dollar amount tonight, and we will tally them up at the end, and the winner will get to pick those.
I'm opening up a note right now so I can kind of tally this.
Yeah, thanks, because I didn't tell you ahead of time. I kind of decided this last minute.
Yeah, no worries.
Originally, tonight, I was going to do a super chat goal for a Knuckles stream to watch the new series. And I figured, well, we're doing a Batman theme show, so I don't want to do that on this show. So we'll table that for next week, and we'll do a super chat goal. And if we hit that goal next week, John and I and Austin, if he's up for it, but I don't know why he would want to, because I don't want to. But I figured that's the only way I'll ever watch that show is if we talk over it. So I'm tackling that kind of like some of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. So if people care enough to help us out in super chats, support the channel, we will come in and do a 6-hour marathon for you. And if that doesn't sound like work, you're probably wrong. Unless that show turns out to be great. But I'm not hearing good things.
That show does have Christopher Lloyd as Chief Pacatanek.
You're kidding? Does it really?
It does, because I saw that and I was like, that's beautiful casting.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's cool.
He's probably in it for like 3 seconds. Yeah.
I was going to say, I bet it's a cameo like the original live-action Tick series.
Mm-hmm. He'll show up and he'll be like, Knuckles! It's your kid, Knuckles!
Knuckles! You gotta go back to Green Hill Zone!
It's Shadow Knuckles! He's coming! Exactly.
This emerald is what makes time travel possible.
This emerald is what makes chaos happen. Gotta set it up.
That's true. It is. Well, and I guess Chaos Emeralds tend to open alternate dimensions more often than they make time travel happen.
Yeah, or like, what is it, like the blue circles, rings?
In those movies, it's just rings that go to different...
Well, no, I'm thinking of the game, the Special World.
The
blue spheres.
The blue spheres.
I don't know enough about Sonic.
Well, and at all, right? Like, there's a few different bonus stages that you get to by jumping into a giant ring.
Yeah, I want to go through the hell where you go through a big portal and you end up in the Sonic 1 Special World.
I wish they'd do that in those movies, but I wish they'd do anything in those movies.
Literally anything, yeah. Knuckles goes
that
to
second
goes
one.
to
There's
Vegas,
finally some stuff, but
Knuckles goes to Vegas in his show. Maybe he'll go to a casino.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what'll happen though. It'll be just like naming a town Green Hill, where he'll just go to. I guarantee it. He'll go to a casino that's called Casino Night or Casino Night Zone.
Probably. I think I heard an interview with the writer, maybe, where he was saying that there was like a ski resort in the show that they named after like a snow level from Sonic. I was like, okay.
Yeah, okay. Yay, Easter eggs. Here's an idea. How about instead of Easter eggs, you just give us the stuff? So that's probably that ski resort is called Ice Cap or Ice Cap Zone.
That's what it was.
I guarantee it.
It was Ice Cap. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Good job. You looked at Sonic material and then you named something after it. Although I will say the Mean Bean thing in the second movie was kind of fun. I kind of like that they thought of that.
I don't even know what that is.
So there's a puzzle game on Genesis called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is a reskin of, is it Puyo Puyo, or I think that's the name of that game. But anyway, it was a really popular puzzle game. It's fun in Japan, and they just reskinned it. Like we did with so many things back then. And in the second Sonic movie, the coffee shop that Robotnik's henchman is working at is called the Mean Bean.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's at least a deeper pull. Like, it's not if you're a Sonic person from that period, it's not a deep pull, but it's deeper than a lot of other things they did. So.
But it's something, yeah.
It's something, yeah. Anyway, well, let's go ahead and start getting to Batman questions. Like I said, top Super Chatter tonight gets to pick our lineup for New Adventures of Batman episodes tomorrow night. You want to make sure that we talk about your topic, Super Chat, in any dollar amount. If you don't want to do that, we will try to hit some regular questions as well. And we have at least four Patreon questions about Batman tonight also. So we better start hitting these. Let's start at Super Chats, Austin, and then and then let's kind of alternate between that and Patreon.
Okay, no worries. So $5 from Tom. He says, I've been playing the new Lego PvE game.
What does that mean?
I've been playing the new Lego PvE game tomorrow. I don't know how he's playing it, but it's tomorrow.
Wow, speaking of time travel, yeah.
They're adding Star Wars. Will you guys be playing? It's what Lego Dimensions should have been. You rock.
Okay, so I don't know what PvE stands for, but I saw a commercial for that just a couple of days ago and had no idea what it was. It looks like one of those video games that comes out like in seasons, and immediately I was turned off because it looks like I don't know if it's a pay to play kind of thing, if there's like in-game purchases and that, but it looked like that kind of game. But if he says it's better than Dimensions, I might give it a shot because I like Dimensions a lot.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I just want to spin people as Crash Bandicoot. I don't play live service stuff.
But yeah, I'm curious to know what properties they got for that.
Yeah, for sure.
So thanks for reminding me about that, Tom. At the very least, yeah, I'll check into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I couldn't.
Well, you'll have to check out that Funko game. I think that's coming out.
Is that finally coming out? I couldn't tell if that got canceled or not.
Yeah, I thought it got canceled, but it must have been a different game that was canceled because I saw a thing the other day that was like, "Oh, this is coming out at some time."
Is that also a live service thing?
No, I think that's just like a Lego knockoff.
I hope so.
It's got like a really weird selection of things because it's only Universal, so it's like.
Well, I sent you the initial trailer. I've seen that. I just wasn't sure. Like game type wise, if they were gonna do the stupid in-game purchases and that kind of crap.
As far as I know, I think it's just like a Lego knockoff.
The fact that Lego might be doing one of those themselves has me worried, but hopefully not.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Lego game thing kind of died out. It got like the Guitar Hero treatment where they made so many that I think it just kind of bled itself out.
Yeah, although in their defense, it lasted a lot longer than Guitar Hero. I mean, we had those games for 20 years before they petered out. That's insane if you think about it. Like that goes back to GameCube and PS2.
Mm-hmm.
And only just recently they seem to have started to slow down a little bit. I don't know that they're fully done making them, unless you saw an article that I didn't about that.
No, it's just I think we used to do them yearly, and like we've kind of backed off that.
Yeah, I didn't know if they had a schedule like that, or if it was just when major things are coming out, we want to make sure and do tie-ins and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Or they have big franchises they keep trying to add to. Because there are definitely years where they had more than one.
Yeah. Well, because I know I was like, okay, they did the big Star Wars one. Like, give me a new Indiana Jones Lego game. That's the only one I'll buy. I'm excited for that. And then I think the talk now is they're doing what they did with Star Wars, but for Harry Potter. Like, they're gonna redo that as like a complete saga. Yeah,
and I mean, they probably should, just to have all that in one place.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I say that they have, I think, released. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. They have released the originals altogether, but I'm sure what they're doing now is going back to the prequels that nobody cares about.
Oh, that is true.
I
Or
bet that's what they're doing
or
because
at the very least,
they have released 1 through 7 before.
yeah. Or at the very least, they'll do 1 through 7, and then they'll do those prequels as DLC.
I think it's more likely that it's all together like Star Wars was,
Yeah, it could
because
be. I could see
otherwise
it.
there's no reason to do a release again. Because they've released that as recently as 4 or 5 years ago. Because now that I'm thinking about it, we've got it on Switch, like
Mhm.
the full. So it'd be weird to put that out again because they've already done that,
Yeah, but it would be like a new game, just based on the
unless they
same
totally
thing.
retool it.
No, it'll be
Yeah.
like that, I think. Like how they did the last Star Wars one.
Yeah, and I bought that for my wife because she's big into Lego games, and she started playing that around Christmas, and they've changed up the scheme and stuff quite a bit. Like I
Yeah,
haven't,
people were kind of down on that one.
yeah, I haven't played it much myself, but I think they were reinventing the wheel a little bit too much with that.
hmm Yeah, and I heard like
It's a lot more combat focused, and
that. Yeah, I heard there wasn't really like a ton of puzzles. Like there wasn't anything really challenging. It was kind of just moving from place to place, fighting people. But it's Legos, so you can't die. So it wasn't really that engaging.
which is weird because the earlier Lego Star Wars games were a little bit more that way, and then they moved away from it intelligently. They were better when they moved away, and now they've gone back to that.
hmm
So that's
Yeah.
kind of odd. Anyway, we should move on because that didn't even have anything to do with Batman.
Yeah, this is what happens when you and I do the live show. We just run off on crazy tangents. Okay.
This is ostensibly an hour, and we are ostensibly doing a comic review after this. Go ahead, Austin.
Makura gives 4.99. He says, "It's good that for BatMay you are covering the man responsible for the character's entire existence, Steve Englehart."
Yeah,
Very
especially
true.
if your name is Steve Englehart.
Oh, that'll be a big thing we have to talk about when we do the review cap. Is how he's like the Dark Knight is just Dark Detective.
Well, and see, we're gonna end up just reviewing it now, but like, there are definitely similarities, and
No, there is.
there,
But
I mean, it's silly to say they adapted Dark Detective and made Dark Knight because no, they didn't.
I mean, it's the same thing with like 89 and his original run, where
Yeah.
it's like there's pieces of it, sure, but it's not just
Yeah,
like
yeah. I mean, it's influenced.
yeah.
But there are why does he never go to episodes of animated series that are literally adapting his work? Because there are things that are just his stories. Like, yes, Laughing Fish is his story. You can't dispute that.
I guess because it's just straight up adapting, like it's more honest about it. I don't know. He doesn't take credit for either Doctor Strange film, as far as I've heard though. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, because I don't think Batman's the only thing that he takes credit for either. I think there's other stuff that he'll come out sometimes and be like, "Oh, that's mine." And you're like,
Well, the
"Is
funny
it
thing with
though?"
Englehart is that he's crazy with that, but he's also like a great comic writer.
Yeah.
Like his stuff is typically really good, but
Yeah,
he's
that's the
also
thing is
crazy.
like he's a little full of crap in that if you're really looking at that stuff, it's not all him. It's not wholesale like he's talking about, but he's not full of crap in the sense that he isn't influencing those things at all, or that he never wrote a good Batman story. Like
Exactly.
it's not Bob Kane.
Yeah, 100%.
Austin, would you go to Patreon?
Yes.
And
Here,
quick
let me
plug
just-
for Patreon. If you want to make sure that you get questions on the show, maybe you can't make it to the show, or you're afraid that we won't get to your question while we're live. Just the $2 tier, the very bottom tier, gets you access to that. And I put out feelers at least once a month, if not more, for questions for the show. Go ahead, sir.
SS Jerry, do you have any favorite one shots with Batman in them?
See, I shouldn't have done a Batman theme show as rusty as I am with comics right now, because I have not, and that's part of why we're bringing the vault back, because I have not been reading a lot of comics lately, and I feel very rusty, and my head's not in that, and I miss it. But let me think for a moment, because yes, but I need to try to come up with them. Does anything immediately jump to your head?
So my thing is, I'm trying to decide like if like Batman one shots, or are we specifically talking about one shots of comics that Batman shows up in? That's what I'm trying to think about. In terms of ones where he shows up in, There's a really good Suicide Squad issue that I really like, where Batman infiltrates Belle Reve, and he's like almost never shown fully. Like he's moving around the prison, and it's like, you know, those shots, Cap, where it's Batman and like everything in the cape is shadowed off, and like his mouth is shadowed off. Like we do that kind of image a lot. That's what he looks like throughout the entire issue, pretty
That's really
much.
cool. Yeah, that's one of my
Really
favorite
cool.
looks for that character.
Yeah. And it works perfectly, you know, with him showing up in this kind of villain book.
But see, I get caught up in the comic book jargon because a one shot is not an issue of an ongoing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like just one story. Like it's not like that goes anywhere or anything. I mean, it kind of does, but like it's just one little story in this.
But I'm just saying, I wouldn't have even thought to go to that because he said one shot. So I'm trying to think.
No,
of
you are right about that. I was just thinking of like
that came out
stories
that are all by themselves and not part of a larger series. So the only things like that immediately come to mind are Elseworlds things and just stuff I've talked about before, like Speeding Bullets and.
Sure, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that? And the Jack the Ripper one and.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say,
Gaslight.
If I'm just going to just random single issues of Batman, I would say like, I think one of the first ones I ever read was Joker's 5-Way Revenge, and that's great, of course. Joker Fish, because we're talking about Englehart, like stuff like that's great. Lots of good stuff. But like I said, I was thinking more so just one issue stories as opposed to what you're saying, which is right.
Well, yeah, and if you go back far enough, most of your single issues are gonna just be one story and be self-contained.
Yeah, exactly. It's the way it should be. It's great.
So yeah, hopefully better answers will come to me later. But let's continue forward, shall we?
Super chat or Patreon question?
Let's do one more Patreon, then we'll get back to the super chats.
Okay. The amalgamation. What if Stan Lee created Batman?
Well, he wrote
DC Universe.
He wrote a comic like that. He actually did a whole series.
That's why I was like, I don't know if I should read this one because it's a joke.
That was imagine
I'll
Stan Lee.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't want to imagine that. Those were all terrible. But to be fair, like I don't know if he was intending that as a joke or not, but he's saying what if and not imagine, so it's an actual what if question.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's like if that was Stan Lee's creation as opposed to Bob Kane and Bill Finger, like what would that have looked like? Because I don't know, like it's possible that that something like that could have happened, right? That like Batman is not a character that anybody early on at what becomes DC comes up with, and because Stan Lee's working in comics at the same time as those guys are. So somebody else could have come up with a really similar concept had that not happened. And Batman could have been, or a character like him, could have been created for Timely or Marvel instead, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a Lee Kirby Batman would look similar to that original Bob Kane drawing.
Yeah.
You know, the one where he's got like the red shirt and like the domino mask. Not exactly that, but I feel like it would probably look closer to that.
Well, I wonder how similar it would have been to what became Daredevil.
Yeah, no, that's true. But then would it look more like Stan Lee, Bill Everett Daredevil? You know, where it's like a little sillier.
Yeah, no, probably so. But where, like Spider-Man, he's trying to make it more relatively down-to-earth and character-driven. And
well, you know what it would be? It would be Daredevil, except he's deaf instead of blind. Because he's a bat.
Because he's a bat. No, that's perfect.
And he just
that's exactly what it would have been.
He yells out, and then it comes back to him, and that's how he can see.
But yeah, I don't know. It would have been really interesting if somebody at the other company had come up with that, because Batman and Superman are such, like yin-yang companion pieces that it's hard to even imagine like Superman without Batman and DC without that character.
Mm-hmm. Sure. This obviously isn't a creation thing, but I think it's like a little bit of a shame that we didn't get like more Ditko Batman when he worked at DC. because his art style I think works really well for Batman. He's really good
Yeah,
at like the
sure.
shadow work. You don't get to see it as much in Spider-Man, but like when you go back to Doctor Strange and stuff, it's like, oh, he would have been a great Batman artist.
Yeah, because when you think of early DC, and I talk about this all the time, of course, you think of like godlike iconic characters, but of the major staple early on, I think arguably Batman is kind of the closest thing to a Marvel character in
Okay,
that
interesting.
he is like, especially in the earlier darker stuff, I and like Superman is more of a street level like crusader character early on too, and then becomes more of the like stalwart perfect guy later. But like at his inception, Batman is a much more like brooding, flawed kind of character. So I don't know, like that's not that far out of Stanley's wheelhouse.
That is true. You just probably be a little bit more quippy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, he wouldn't be as gothic, and he probably wouldn't be actually as brooding.
Hmm. He would be, but in probably more like melodramatic way.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we'll talk about this later. Englehart's Batman is also pretty melodramatic.
Yeah, when he does start as like a Marvel guy too, so you can kind of see some of that
He's bringing those
slipping in.
sensibilities to it some, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So should I move back to super chats, or do you
Yeah,
want to
let's
do
do that.
another Patreon? Okay. This is from MP. Gives $2. He says, "Who are your top 5 Batman comic book writers?"
Austin, why don't you field that first?
Whew, that's really hard.
Or
Okay.
we can kind of go back and forth. And I'm only putting you on the spot because I'm pretty sure I've been asked this before.
Yeah. Well.
And people will not be surprised by my answers.
Yeah, I feel like mine are like way too obvious. Like, Danny O'Neill.
Yep. That
Oh
would
my
be in
God,
my
I was
top
just
five.
thinking of one, and now it's blanked on me.
Well, let's go back and
Englehart would
forth.
make mine. Oh, okay, yeah.
Let's do this so we don't take too long on it because we've only got half an hour left of the show. How about we go
Yes.
back and forth and we come up collectively with 5, unless one of us just really doesn't agree with one of the other ones, and then we can throw another one in. But like
Yeah.
maybe between the two of us, we can come up with 5
Okay, yeah.
because I don't think
Yeah,
we'll be
Danny O'Neill
that
is my first one.
far off base with each other. Yeah, I would have said that. I'll throw in Greg Rucka.
Okay, yeah. That's not one I would have thought of offhand, but yeah, absolutely.
He's a big one for me.
Englehart's a big one for me.
Yeah, and I've gotten to that place, certainly. Dini, obviously.
Sure. He's another one because I associate him so much with the show that I wasn't even thinking about that. But yeah.
Yeah, but he's got to run.
He does have a run, yeah.
He's got to run, and he's got some good one-off stories in animated in the series based on animated series. Speaking of that, my answer earlier should have probably been Mad Love.
Oh yeah, Mad Love's great.
There you go.
Yep.
Anyway.
I think Jim Starlin's really underrated on Batman.
Yeah. I haven't read enough of him on that character, admittedly, but
Well, he's a weird one because everybody knows Death of the Family and Death in the Family. Ever since we did that, I'm like constantly bounce back and forth.
I wish they'd never done that. That drives me crazy.
No, it does to me too. No, Death in the Family. Death in the Family is a very weird book, but I think his run is really great. And Batman the Cult is wonderful too.
Let me think.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Dixon.
Yeah, of course. I'm trying to think. There was one the second I read the question that like came to me, and then the second I had to start naming, it deleted. And I'm trying to remember who it was exactly because it's killing me, man.
Oh no.
Marv Wolfman's another good underrated Batman writer. He's done some good stuff on it.
Yeah, that's true. His name maybe doesn't come up as often as it should.
Yeah. I'm trying not to
go
go just to Frank Miller because we all know Frank Miller.
Yeah, we all know Frank Miller, and obviously he should be in the conversation. But that's the obvious thing. I don't feel right bringing up Dixon without also saying Alan Grant. So I'm going to say Alan Grant.
Alan Grant's wonderful.
And I mean, I
Robert
like
Wildman
those
was
guys
amazing.
as much or more on other peripheral Batman characters.
Mhm.
Like Dixon did the original Birds of Prey, and
Yeah.
I think did Grant have that Catwoman run in the '90s, or was that somebody else? I forget now. Because I think
Uh,
Dixon did a lot of those female characters, and I don't know if he had all of them or.
when Dixon did a lot of the side stuff too, like he did a lot of Robin and he
Yeah, that's
did
what I'm saying.
Nightwing stuff, and yeah, no, he did a lot of that.
And then I brought up Rucka. We also think of him not just for Batman, but also peripheral stuff like the Gotham Police Department book and.
Oh yeah, and that's one of my favorite comics, and he's one of the main writers for that Cape Crusader show.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. MP brings up Doug Moeng,
Yeah.
Mensch. I never know how to pronounce him. He's wonderful as well. Absolutely.
Okay, well, we gave you at least 10, so we could probably move on.
We threw out a ton of them. There's a lot of great Batman writers.
And we didn't say a lot of recent stuff. We were kind of going back a few decades, but.
Well, that's a lot of my favorite Batman stuff, so it's, not to throw that stuff away or anything, but
because some of those new guys that are really popular are just too hit and miss for me.
Yeah, I have some of that. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Tom King's Batman, as we've talked about.
Yeah,
Grant Morrison.
I loved some of it in the middle, and then it fell off, and then Morrison is wonderful and maybe even brilliant, but just not my Batman really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I have a tough time with that.
Yeah, and Scott Snyder has some stuff that I really like, but other stuff that I really don't.
Yep.
But I love Zero Year.
And Tinian is growing on me a little bit. Like, he is real gimmicky and very hit and miss. But I've been reading his somewhat recent Joker ongoing or maxi series, depends on how you want to look at it, because I think it was only 13 issues, but it was coming out monthly and it looked like a monthly. I don't know what category you put that in, but I've read about half of that, and it's turning me around a little bit on my feelings as him as just how talented of a writer he is.
Yeah, and I've never read his Batman. I've read his Dracula, and I really liked that, so I should probably check out his Batman.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
See, I always think of him, and this is not fair, and I'm starting to change my mind on it, but I always used to think of him as like Dan Slott if he made a little bit more sense.
Oh, okay.
Because I said, he's just.
A lot of people say that they're not really big fans of Tinian, so I never really bothered with any of that.
I just thought I always thought his stuff was too fanficky.
Mm.
Like Slott, but it's. Some of the more recent stuff seems less that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the art in his Dracula book's wonderful. It's very Arkham Asylum, which I'm not always a fan of, but it really works in that book.
Well, and speaking of kind of gimmicky stuff, because sometimes I don't mind fiction-y premises if they're handled really well, and I don't mind super over the top cartoonish stuff if it's great. But who's the guy who did the Injustice book that we liked? And,
Tom Taylor
and Deceased, because I think didn't he more recently get a run or get some Batman book?
Possibly. He's one of those writers that does like a billion things.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like working class writer for DC. Like, is always doing something.
Yeah, but I don't think of him as a workman writer as much, because you can always tell when it's him, and he has a real specific style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
sure.
He's prolific in that way.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, like obviously he did like the Super Sun stuff, like MP.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was him.
He's writing Nightwing.
Is he?
I think he did some Suicide Squad too. He just kind of
the guy that did White Knight is really good.
Oh, Sean Murphy, yeah. I still need to read that. The only thing I know from Sean Murphy is I watched his Mark Millar interview, and I thought it was a really good one, and I was like, I need to read this guy's work because he's really cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No, I love that book, and I haven't read its sequel, but
mm-hmm.
I think maybe it's had a couple now.
I think it's up to 3.
I mean, if anything's popular, we're just gonna keep coming back.
Mm-hmm. That is the way.
Okay, moving right along.
Yes.
We have
Okay.
thoroughly eviscerated this topic.
Victor Herman gives $9.99.
Oh, thanks, man.
He says, "What do you think about Harvey Dent being in the sequel to the Batman?
Harvey Dent.
Are you worried about Reeves and company treading familiar ground? Hooray for BatMay."
Thanks. I'm glad you're excited about that. Do we know that he's going to be, or is he just suggesting like if we do that?
I think he's just suggesting it. I think there's been talk that maybe we'll do that, but we don't really know for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to steal Austin's answer. I'm going to steal what I think Austin's answer is going to be, and I'm going to say that as much as this part of it won't be Austin's answer, but I'm going to front load this by saying as much as I like Harvey Dent and Two-Face okay in The Dark Knight, I don't know that we've had the definitive Two-Face on screen yet.
Yeah, that is pretty much my answer.
That's your answer, right?
My answer is I love Harvey Dent in Dark Knight, and I hate Two-Face in The Dark Knight. And I don't like Two-Face in Batman Forever. So yes, give me proper Two-Face. Let him be obsessed with twos and have another personality. Like, go all the way with it.
Well, and I feel like there's a lot of different ways to do that character. Like I don't tend to prefer people ask me this all the time, and I think I finally come down on I don't think I actually prefer the multiple personality Two-Face. I think I like it when he's just real divided. So like not literally has dissociative identity disorder, but just has the two parts of his personality that he has to reconcile with the coin. I personally like that better than they're arguing with each other, but like that works and can be fun too.
I like both. I agree,
but I don't feel like I'm not worried about retreading ground so much because I think like I said, there's a number of different ways to tackle that character, and I don't know. I don't expect a reinvention as much as the Riddler, like with the Batman, where it'll be something I've absolutely never seen before. Mm-hmm. But there's stuff in comics that we could go to and adapt that we've not really seen adapted before, and I'm sure he'll go his own way to some degree. So like, I'm not too worried about that.
We haven't had a movie where Two-Face is the villain yet either.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like, he's a villain in Batman Forever, but it's more of a Riddler thing, and then he's a villain in Dark Knight, but it's a Joker thing.
Yeah, in post Batman Forever, I say post that, I mean even in 89 and animated series, we typically introduce Harvey Dent first and let him be a character for a minute or for episodes or a movie or something, and well, we haven't done that in a film yet, but where he's Harvey Dent for a whole film, and then later he becomes Two-Face. If this series was coming out more often, I would like to see that done, and that's what Dark Knight should have done. He shouldn't have become Two-Face in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a place where maybe some of these shows can kind of fill in blanks. Like Harvey could show up at the Penguin show. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like we could do things like that.
I guess I'm being real vague. I guess I'm just open to anything with that, really.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
If it's done well, like I'm okay with the Two-Face that's already created. I'm okay with a Harvey Dent that becomes Two-Face. Like,
yeah, and I feel like the last thing you want to do as like a creative is go, well, the Dark Knight used Joker, so let's not use Joker. If you have an idea, you know what I mean, and that goes for anything. That's just the first example that came to mind.
Yeah,
you're like, we can go back to Ra's al Ghul or Scarecrow. Like it's fine, you know.
Well, in most villains besides the Joker, you don't have to go too far out of your way to show us something we haven't seen before. Like, we are in that place now with the Joker where there's that fear of reinventing it to the point of making it unrecognizable or just weird for the sake of weird, or you know what I mean? Like I've got reservations about what we've seen so far of their version of the Joker at the end of the Batman. Hopefully that ends up being really cool. But
yeah.
But it does seem like they're trying a little too hard to make it something new.
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely fair.
And I'm not worried about that with any other character.
Mm-hmm. All I know is I need a really great Two-Face, I need a really great Scarecrow, and a really great Killer Croc.
Yeah, and my favorite's the Riddler, and we've already done that. So,
yep.
Well, I mean, I want Clock King, but
you'll show up in Brave and the Bold.
Still want that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of nice. We've got a different universe where we can play around with the sillier ones.
Mhm.
Not to say that they
I
couldn't bring
yeah.
in a sillier villain and make him darker and scarier. And
Mhm. Well, that's my big thing with Ra's al Ghul, where I'm like, I don't want to see him in the Reeves one. Like, I'd rather them stick to just the regular criminal stuff. But like, he should be the main villain of Brave and the Bold. With
especially with what they seem to be adapting. I mean,
exactly.
if Damien's yeah, if they're doing Morrison, if Damien's there, it's a little odd to if you're not doing Ra's al Ghul right away, or at least Talia.
Yeah. Well, that'll be the place I think where we get like full on Lazarus Pit, like
Yeah,
in Ra's al Ghul. You know what I mean? So it'll
yeah,
also
because
be very different.
we've beaten a dead horse with this. Like people have asked us a lot if the Batman is a universe that's stylized enough to have those kinds of things. And before we had the announcement of Brave and the Bold, I said, yeah, and I kind of expect that stuff. I don't really expect that stuff now, and like I think it could exist there, and I'm fine with it if they want to do it. But you could stay both like really stylized looking, but also more grounded in that we just don't need to go to anything supernatural.
Hmm. Yeah,
Or
like at this
ultra,
point,
or ultra supernatural. Like,
yeah.
Clayface is a gray area, Mr. Freeze is a gray area. Like, I think they'll tap into some of that stuff.
I do too. But we'll see.
But again, there's 101 ways to do even both of those characters. Like,
Mhm.
Clayface doesn't have to be a big CG, abomination.
It'll never happen, but I want him to be Clayface 3 so bad in the Matt Reeves movies, and it won't happen. But he's my favorite Clayface. I love him. That's the one where like he touches you and you melt.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Preston Payne. He's so cool.
I don't know, man. Because that would be like off the beaten path and not what anybody would expect. But Matt Reeves seems to know his Batman, so
Mhm.
like
And like really tap into the
that
horror stuff they're leaning
that's what I was gonna
into.
say. Is that fits in the darker kind of world he's creating?
Mhm.
I bet if you went up to him right now and said that name, he'd be like, "Yeah, I know that Clayface." Like, I bet he knows who that is.
Yeah. And if he doesn't, I'd be like, this is him. Adapt him.
Do that. No, it's perfect for that world.
Exactly. Okay. MP $5.
Thanks,
When
man.
Tim Drake was first introduced in 1989, he famously declared, "Batman needs a Robin." Is this still true? Does Batman need a Robin? Why or why not?
So I think in the context of that at the time, I it it just made a lot of sense for a new Robin to say that in comics, where like he Batman had, as far back as anybody could remember, had a Robin, and he was a very popular character in his own right, and also just story wise, he needs a like brighter, more optimistic character to bring him out of the funk and the guilt over what happened to Jason Todd. So, I mean, I think that's true if you're Tim Drake in 1989. Overall, for the sake of the character, no, absolutely not. And because the nice thing is, and I mean, like I'm not a big Robin guy, and I get people that are bigger into that character and more obsessed with him than Batman. But my thing is, at least he's got Alfred to talk to. Like, Batman is typically such a loner kind of character that we've made a good argument for even a whole Bat family of characters, but I don't think you always have to have that. Like, I also like him just operating on his own in the field, and then he's got Alfred, and then eventually maybe he influences other people to go out and do what he does. But I think it gets trickier with modern sensibilities to have him like palling around with like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
It gets kind of messy, and I don't mean in a gross way. I mean in like that feels like child abuse, And so then Frank Miller grabbed onto that and was like, let's make it actual child abuse.
I really like, if I'm remembering right, I think when you go back to like original like Golden Age Robin stuff, I really like that he's more of like a scout for Batman, where like he'll like kind of sneak into places because he's small and then report back to Batman. And I like that with Robin because I would say I
That's a good point.
prefer Batman with a Robin, but I don't necessarily need them together all the time.
Okay.
Like I do think Batman should be going out on his own even when he has a Robin, but that's kind of where I stand. In terms of just modern stuff, I think we just introduced a new Robin last month too.
Oh, of course we did.
Of course we did.
Well, I say that for several years we've been like tiptoeing around it, where the whole Duke Thomas thing, like I'm trying something new, and I'm like, by new you mean being Robin, but not calling yourself Robin. Okay. And then he had some moniker. I think what was it?
He was Batwing.
Was he?
Wasn't
He was not Batwing.
No, I'm thinking of Fox.
That's and there was a Batwing even before Lucius Fox's kid.
Yeah.
Yes, also a black character, but not Fox, a different guy.
Okay.
Duke Thomas. I want to say he called himself the Signal.
Weird.
I think that's what it was.
That's a lame name.
I haven't actively read new comics in like 6-7 years. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong about that. I don't know why I even know that if I'm right about that, but I think that's what it is. I think Duke Thomas became the Signal.
So
he's trying something new.
I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but I just looked it up, and the name is apparently Maps Mizoguchi, is the new Robin.
Oh, okay.
So
just rolls off the tongue. We're all gonna remember that.
We've got Dick, Jason, Tim, Damian, Maps.
Carrie Kelly.
I was just thinking like continuity because you also got like Stephanie
Brown and Maps.
And Maps.
I'm the Maps.
Maps. Open up Maps. Anyways.
And then, invariably, he's going to have an arc called Maps Quest. Because it's just right there.
That's a maxi series right there. That's not an arc.
That's a Black Label book.
100%.
Yeah, we need that. But no, real quick to go back to the original question. Part of the thing for me is my original love with Batman is '89, and even as a kid, I kind of never wanted to see Robin show up in that universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that just fair.
Didn't feel like a Batman that needed anybody. Not even Alfred, really. Like, I mean, I don't care that he said he couldn't find his socks without him. Like, he's such alone, and he's so antisocial, and he's so not connected to humanity in any way.
Yeah. I think for me, like, as a kid, I had that where I was like, like, Robin's stupid. He wears a green thong. He's just not as cool as Batman. And then we hit a certain point where Robin kind of dropped off, and it became too much solo Batman, where now I'm like, okay, I feel like
that's fair.
We need to kind of reel it back in. Like, even when you get stuff like Arkham, Robin will just show up for Batman to be like, get away from me, loser. I can do this on my own.
No, that's totally fair. Well, and for me,
I feel like we reeled it back too far.
I guess I just like a lot of the other supporting cast, a lot of the other Bat family more than I tend to like Robin. I mean, I love Tim Drake, but
I like Batgirl more than any of the Robins. So yeah,
same here. And so I guess what I'm saying is I don't need Robin if you have some of those other characters like taking his place. I haven't watched much of the season where they introduced Batgirl in the Batman before Robin, but I always really liked that idea.
Mm-hmm. No, I do too, actually. I like having a Batgirl before Robin, and I also like Oracle more than Batgirl. So all I'm saying is if Oracle is not in Brave and the Bold, I'm going to blow up a hospital.
I'll never, and surely they do that, right?
I would hope so, but I feel like we're so averse from doing Oracle now too. Like we've moved away from that in Barbara's.
Well, we did for a long time in the comics, but they brought it back more recently.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yeah, in that Joker book I was reading, she's Oracle again, and there's a whole convoluted, discussion about how she came back and was Batgirl again for a while, and now she's in the wheelchair again. And no, they brought it back to that, and she's even using the face on the screen that she has in the '80s.
Oh, cool.
They brought that whole thing back.
Yeah. Oracle's the best person in a chair. Like 100%.
Yeah. And a lot of the guy gal in the chairs are looking at Oracle hard.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know why I have such an affinity for like female adjacent Batman characters, but
Hmm.
like
There's a
all my
lot of good
favorite
ones
all
though.
my favorite sidekicks are girls,
Mhm.
and I I even I don't know, like I guess maybe my real answer is no, he doesn't need a Robin, he just needs a female sidekick, or maybe like a female Robin.
Like Katana.
Sure, just like Katana. That was that was counterintuitive.
It was
That
choice.
was nobody's first choice. And what is that show? Beware the Batman.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, that show's cool from what
She's
I've
fun
seen
in
of it,
that.
but it's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
It's like of the 50 things I thought you might say, that wasn't one of them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it would
uh,
be cool. And I don't mean to say that I don't want to see a male Robin in the movies at all, because I love Tim Drake, and I kind of hope that well, I was gonna say I hope they start with that. I guess they're doing Damien, but I hope that like Tim and Dick are around and doing things.
well, I think we're doing Damien just to have an excuse to have Nightwing and stuff already there.
Probably so. Where it's like, this is the point in a continuity that we're at.
Hmm.
Here's the status quo. All these other things happened already.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that way, when we do Teen Titans, like that stuff's already laid out.
Yeah, yeah.
You
They'll
don't
say
have to worry
They'll
too
say
much.
Jason Todd is dead. They'll say Oracle's in the wheelchair. They'll say maybe they'll even go as far as to have this is wishful thinking on my part. But Dick Grayson is Nightwing and Tim Drake is Red Robin already.
Yeah, and I feel like Jason and Tim are like a little more like I could see it going either way. I think there's no way or Dick isn't already Nightwing in that movie.
Yeah, and there's no, I think that's absolutely right. And where I thought you were going with that is with Jason and Tim. It's also possible that we do the same thing that we did in the animated series and kind of amalgamate them.
Mhm. No, we could just do like, well, there is a dead one and it's Jason, and now we're bringing on Damien.
Yeah, or Jason or Tim is around now and we will kill that character and do that story.
That is true. You could even kill like have a Jason in that movie that dies, and then Damien picks up the Robin mantle in the movie.
That's not a bad idea at all.
You could do something like that.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be a Robin starting out. And there's
Well,
no
and he's
telling
not in
if
that run either.
yeah, because I mean, again, just what is their status quo going to be? Now it's just a spoiler cast again, but it's entirely plausible that that movie is like an origin. I mean, I guess it's called Batman and Robin, but like it could be an origin for Damian becoming Robin. Like it's entirely possible. Either of these is real plausible. Either Batman and Damian as Robin are already fighting together by the end of that, or by the beginning of that movie, or Damian is like discovered by Batman as being his son at the start of that film. Like that's also possible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do with that. And for me, like I just want a Robin in a movie again. I know we're getting it, but like
Yeah.
we've only had it in two, and I don't really like Forever that much, and Batman and Robin's essentially a meme. Like it would be nice to have a really good movie with
Well, and I
Robin.
still love Forever for just nostalgic reasons and stuff, but like I never loved that Robin. I never loved
Yes.
like having him aged up that high. Like he's
It's
essentially
really
the age he
weird.
should be as Nightwing, and he comes up with the Nightwing name in the movie.
When Bruce Wayne adopts him when he's like 28.
Yeah. That's just Smallville logic.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's
Okay,
fair.
we've got what should be 5 minutes left in the show. Do we have any other super chats?
We've got two, both from Tom. So Tom, $2. He
But
says,
real quick before you hit that, let me just
yes.
remind everybody, since we only have a few minutes left in the show, last call for super chats, and top super chatter, because we had a few more people trickle in. If you didn't hear at the beginning of the show, top super chatter tonight gets to pick all 5 episodes of the New Adventures of Batman series, the sequel series to the animated series, that we're gonna do tomorrow night for a watch party. For a mini marathon. There are 24 episodes of that show, and you can pick 5 out of any of those 24.
It's also a really close race because the number one is 9.99 and the number two is 9.
Oh wow.
So
Okay. So it's anybody's
yeah.
game. So if you want to get in there, feel free.
So Tom gives $2. He says, "What Batman character deserves a spin-off show?"
Yeah, I mean, I'm hesitating because there's a lot of answers to that, right?
Yeah, and for me, it's my hesitation is show. Like I feel like it's like I'd prefer like my go-to would be Huntress, but like I think a Huntress movie would be really cool. I don't know if I need a full show.
I don't need a whole show of that. Yeah, Huntress is the first thing that came to me too. And also like
Batgirl
what are
cool.
we what are we spinning off from, right? So is it a standalone thing that's not part of the new DC universe, or do we meet this character first in a continuity and then we spin them off? If like when we introduce Cassandra Cain, like that's probably my answer. Like I could like either a again, me with my female Batman characters, either a Cassandra Cain Oracle series where it's Batgirl and the original Batgirl is there to mentor, right? Or just flat out Birds of Prey, and then
Yeah.
you can have your cake and eat it too, and get your Huntress in an ongoing show. Not that Huntress is always part of the Birds of Prey, but she can be. She tends to be like I know in the WB show she was the main character, but they went with the Earth 2 version. It was kind of different. Typically in like mainstream DC, Huntress is kind of an outlier because she's an assassin and she, you know, like well not really an assassin, but she doesn't mind murdering people. And she's very revengey in that way, and so Oracle doesn't always like working with her, so she kind of goes in and out of that team.
Yeah. If we're going off of things we have, please, oh please, give me a Matt Reeves Gotham Central show. Like I know
Yeah.
there was talks about it, and then it became an Arkham thing, which then became a DCU Arkham show. But like, just give me Gotham Central.
Well, and I would watch a Zoe Kravitz Catwoman show.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I wonder if she would be open to doing like a mini series or something.
I wonder about that because I've got it in
Yeah.
my head that that's a movie actress and not a TV. But like everybody crosses now, and
Yeah.
just how famous is she compared to some of these other actors that have been willing to do that? That's a big question mark for me. Is like I don't know how like above that stuff she is.
Well, and I don't think there's any chance we don't have Pattinson showing up at some point in that Penguin show. So like, if we can get
I
him,
hope.
and that's just like a cameo thing, I would imagine. But like, I feel like he's not exactly off limits on a TV show either.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do like a Catwoman's Adventures in Bloodhaven miniseries.
Yeah, it would be cool to finally like fully realize that city
Hmm.
and compare it to Gotham and show how different it is. I think the Titans show probably did some stuff with Bloodhaven. I don't actually know that,
Yeah, I've never looked at any of that.
but that show looks like utter nonsense and garbage. So I've not watched past the pilot, but
Mhm.
and everything I heard about that was just absolute insanity. We may finally do a watch party for some of
Oh,
that.
don't say it. Don't think it. Don't say it. Maybe.
I'm a little curious about some of the crazy Batman stuff, but
Okay.
oh, and he had another $2 super chat and said
Yep.
he was asking for a character that hasn't had a spinoff already, and we pretty much did that.
Oh yeah. When there's so many like obvious answers like Robin, Nightwing, like all that stuff, like yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Court.
well, and I mean, you can't even say Alfred anymore.
That's true. But I want to see Andy Serkis Alfred fight V for Vendetta.
Yeah, what we need is a multiverse miniseries that brings all the live action Alfreds that are still alive together on a team.
That'd be beautiful.
The further adventures of Batman's butlers.
Hmm. They all have their serving trays.
All of yeah, except for the ones that have a double barrel shotgun instead.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Because some of them are very violent now.
Hmm. Yeah, we have gotten to that place. But I also feel like, well, I
And
mean,
for
more
like
so-
for well over a decade now,
Mhm.
we've been
But I
doing
feel like
that.
it's more of a show thing. Like, Irons and Circus like feel rougher, but they're not. I can't see either of them whipping out guns.
Well, I was gonna say we haven't had it yet, but I could see circuses pulling out a gun, maybe like in the right situation.
Hmm. Well, we have so little of Andy Serkis as Alfred.
So far, yeah, but yeah, like the Gotham TV show, he was pulling out guns and kicking ass every other episode.
Exactly. He was always killing people, except for Azrael, because Penguin and Solomon Grundy did that.
He he had. Would you stop it? He he had more like hand to hand combat uh, than
Any version
Gordon
of
in that
Bruce
show.
Wayne?
Yeah, yeah, he was constantly hitting people.
He's Alfred.
And Gordon punched people a fair bit, but that Alfred, man, he's
That'll
always
be the
punching people.
Alfred and Joker too. He'll be the main villain. He'll be like Yosemite Sam hunting Joker.
Oh yeah, because we actually saw that Alfred.
Yes. But I can't. I think he like yells at Joker in that first movie.
Yeah, he does.
Think at the fence. I couldn't remember if that was
He just says,
Thomas
"Get
Wayne
off
or
my
Alfred.
lawn," and leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Whips out his gun.
He's like, get away. Yeah, yeah. Does he actually pull a gun out? I don't think he does.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Do we have any more Patreon questions?
Yes.
Batman ones. Let's go ahead and
Uh,
knock those out.
Kando Tour. We've seen several people other than Bruce under the cowl at this point. Who
That's
was the
true.
best Batman successor?
I mean, I feel like the obvious default is Dick Grayson, which was divisive at the time, but there were some really good stories told there, and people loved that Morrison Batman and Robin run. Like, is there anybody that really eclipses that, Austin?
See, I'm not like the biggest fan of Dick becoming Batman. Like I'm fine doing it. Like I don't think he's a Batman successor as much as like he would take over for a little bit. I like the Dick that.
Oh,
has
that's
to get
fair.
out of that
I wasn't even
shadow.
thinking about that word. I was just thinking like other people that have been Batman at some point. But yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as like who would continue it, like
I mean, I feel like
if he died.
I feel like it kind of has to be Damien. I mean, Tim Drake is a good one.
Well, and a good case was made for it in comics in the early 2010s, where we would occasionally, I forget who wrote them, but you would occasionally get, was it
Those
Morrison?
flash forwards. I think it is Morrison.
You would get those flash forwards where you see Dick Grayson grown up and a lot more mature and fully embracing, or more embracing anyway, Bruce Wayne's mantra, and that stuff was actually really cool. Like that made me like Damian as a character a lot more. Just getting a sense of what he could be when he grows up.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting dynamic because he comes from a very different place. So I think it's kind of funny that like I don't think either of us like Damien that much, but like, that's probably my answer.
Yeah, I mean, like now that I'm thinking about it, and I know you don't know this material real well, and you're not a big fan of it, but like I guess I have to say McGinnis. I guess it is Terry McGinnis, but
Yeah, for sure.
beyond Batman Beyond,
hmm
oddly, I guess I would say Damian if I couldn't say Terry McGinnis. It's so weird. It's just, it feels wrong to even say that. Hey,
No,
do
it's
you
too
think?
late.
I was going to ask you this earlier. Do you think the DCU will eventually do Jonathan Kent? Do you think they'll do the Super Sons thing?
Hmm. I feel like at this point probably not because we're starting with like an earlier Superman and a Batman with a Damian. Like I feel like Superman's too far away from a Jonathan Kent for you to have the proper Super Sons thing.
Yeah, I guess the only way I could see it happening is if they do it more like New 52 originally did it, where it's a Superman from another dimension that brings his son over.
hmm Or you just have a Damian that's like 10 or so years older than Jonathan Kent.
Yeah. Or you find some weird excuse to age him up real fast. I
Mhm.
never loved that, but we do that in stuff all the time where like somebody has a baby and the next season he's 15
What is this, Rocky 5?
because he no, or Star Trek. But no, like Angel does that, where like Angel has a kid and then he goes into a hell dimension where time moves at a different rate than it does here. So then when he comes back in the very next season, he's 15.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of things do that trope.
That's like Mary Jane and Paul.
Who the hell
Love
is
it.
Paul?
That's Mary Jane's new baby daddy.
Oh, you told me about this.
We love to see it. Uh, we have one last super chat and one last Patreon question.
Okay,
So I don't
cool.
know if
Let's
you
get
want to do
those knocked
both
out.
or okay. So
Either way, you pick the order.
okay. So Bag says
Hi,
both
Bag.
in universe and out. What do you think Batman becomes if Robin never existed?
Wow,
Not a Robin.
a lot of Robin, and a lot of
You
should
need to
there
change it
be
to Robin
should
May.
there be Robin?
Yeah.
Why don't you field this one?
Phew. I have no idea.
Yeah, he says in continuity and out. So presumably he means like both. What does it do for the publication history,
And I'm thinking about like the publication history. Yeah.
and then also what would it do for the character of Batman? Like, and that kind of goes back to the question of does Batman always need a Robin? And I didn't really interpret that question this way, but that the way that question was worded almost kind of suggests like does Bruce Wayne the character need that character to kind of keep him positive and grounded and not lose himself and not become the killer, not become psychotic, all of that. And again, I want to say, as long as he's got a really like helpful, altruistic, like wise Alfred, like maybe not.
hmm So this is really hard because my gut reaction was like maybe it doesn't go as lighthearted, but at the same time, you'd still have the behind the scenes issues with comics as a whole. And then Dan's
Yeah.
kind of beat me to it, which is I think Batman's probably less popular without Robin.
Yeah, definitely.
You lose that dynamic duo thing that was very popular, and the Adam West show looks very different without Robin.
I don't think the Adam West show happens without Robin. I mean, he's got to have, like, that show was Batman and Robin. Like,
yeah,
like
exactly.
he's got to have that character to mentor, to talk down to act better than. Like, all of that is very important. Like that. I don't know. It's funny that we call it the dynamic duo, because that dynamic is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, kid sidekicks were everything right then. Obviously, we've kind of moved away from that at this point, and there's a lot of, I think, thinking we're kind of past that and that it's too silly,
Yeah.
which I don't know if I fully agree with. But
I also think these things are kind of going in cycles now. Where, like, I think we're going to come into a period of 5 or 10 years again where we're going to be throwing back and very nostalgic-y with it and get, find a balance where you can be really silly but and use all that stuff and we're not questioning it too much, but then the stories themselves get real dark. I think we're getting maybe back into that place again, just with what we're looking at, especially with DC. Marvel has pivoted too much the other direction toward just all real goofy, without enough to.
It would be interesting
ground the stories in some humanity.
It would be interesting if Brave and the Bold kind of gave like a new renaissance for Robin.
Sure.
And, with the Teen Titans stuff, which Robert Wild mentioned as well, which is something that we should also probably acknowledge, which is Teen Titans was like the big DC team book for a while. Like that was their X-Men for a long time. And that's not what that is without Robin.
No, and in some ways, I mean, there is definitely a period where Teen Titans is much more popular than Justice League in comics, which is like kind of crazy to think about. But it's exactly the same way as, actually exactly the same way as, like, there was a long period where X-Men was much more popular than Avengers in comics.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and when we did the big X-Men DC crossover, it was X-Men and Teen Titans.
That's right.
Those were the big thing.
And also, it's mostly teenage characters. I mean, X-Men has more of a mix of ages, but you still think of X-Men as, kids in a school.
Yeah, exactly.
And Teen Titans isn't a school, but...
Yeah, so I guess that's probably the big thing.
And then you get Amalgam, where we merged Robin and Jubilee. The leader of the Teen Titans with Jubilee.
I didn't know that that's who he crossed over with.
Oh, you didn't know
That's
about that? No, it was really
that's
awkward.
embarrassing.
They strike up. It always felt like just because they had similar colors more than anything else. But
Well, I
they
guess because Wolverine and her have a relationship, and Batman and Wolverine were the cross. Like maybe they were thinking that too.
so I don't think so because
Oh, okay.
no, you had to have known that because we reviewed that book together.
I don't remember.
You just don't remember.
Anymore.
But they
That's
have a romance initially.
Oh my God, that's right.
And then they merged them. That's what made it weird.
That's right, because it's really weird because they were like making out and then they were one.
And then they're one character, yeah.
That is weird.
And then you get to the end of it and they're like, I guess we can't date anymore because it's going to be a really long distance relationship.
I guess we can't date anymore because we're one.
Well, I mean, at the end when they get unmerged.
No, I know. That's off. I hate that. I wish you didn't remind me of that.
But yeah, so publication-wise, I want to say Batman ends up being a lot more like the Shadow or Zorro or one of those characters that he is so influenced by. Yeah, where like he's got his cult following, but it's probably not as hugely popular as it is. And I don't think you can overestimate how important the '60s show is for the popularity of that character. And I'm telling you, that show either doesn't happen or is serious and doesn't get renewed after a first season without Robin.
Well, also now that we're talking about it, I wonder if maybe in this alternate universe where you don't have Robin, if Batman falls off and he's only remembered as being a weird knockoff of the Shadow.
See, I don't think so because that criticism wasn't really there much when he was initially introduced. I mean, he was popular kind of immediately.
But if he falls off, I wonder if that would happen more. Like if there isn't enough of a differentiating thing right away.
Maybe so. I stand by though that probably not because.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Well, I don't think so because they're considered for a long time as being in different media. Like people don't think of the Shadow before, a couple, 3 decades ago as really a visual character. Everybody thinks of the Shadow as a radio show character. And so, like, they're almost occupying different spaces. Like, Batman had a real unique look. And so, like, the Shadow is known more for a voice and a premise. And Batman is known more for a logo and a look.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think he probably still gets past the knockoff of the Shadow.
That is true, but the Shadow also did have comics like going that far back and books.
No, I know, but a lot of people don't
mostly think about
that stuff. Yeah,
I agree. There is a weird thing with the Shadow's kind of everywhere and is now just remembered as being a serial thing. You're right,
and it's been that way for a long time.
Mm-hmm. It's either that or the Alec Baldwin movie,
and that's why which is better than it has any right to be. But that's why I always kind of hesitate with, or I'm hesitating right now anyway with that question of like how popular Batman is without Robin, because I still think that show is really important and it probably doesn't get made or doesn't get made the same way. But I also talk a lot about just the brilliance of the symbol. Like just that logo is so iconic and in the zeitgeist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And you'd still have that without Robin.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't mean to oversell that, but I think that's oddly important.
Yeah.
It's like the Punisher skull. It's like the Superman symbol. Like, that stuff's iconic all by itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then is it like iconic because that stuff got so popular that, it was everywhere?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
All we do is what if shows now.
Exactly.
Okay, do we have any other...
Yes, we have one last super chat.
Super chats. Okay, cool.
Victor Herman gives $4.99. Oh, this is actually a perfect segue. He says...
I saw that and forgot about it.
He said, would you want a Batman 66 game? If so, what type of game would you want it to be?
Man, I feel like I've answered this once like 2 or 3 years ago and I don't remember what my response was. So whatever I say is going to probably totally contradict it.
Yeah, and I have a specific Batman game idea in my head, but it's not 66. Now I got to think of something because my idea wouldn't work for 66.
Okay, what is your idea though?
Mine is doing like a Resident Evil thing where like you have like a big kind of area that where like you have stuff that's locked off that you got to do puzzles to get into, and it's more of like it's leaning into that horror-y stuff. It's maybe not as actiony, like you got to be stealthy, and you can fight people, but you probably shouldn't fight more than one person at a time, and just kind of like that, like a more stealthy puzzle game. And I think you could take the like follower thing that Resident Evil does, where you have like one big enemy you can't fight that is kind of lurking around in the area that can chase you, and you could apply that to like Mr. Freeze or Killer Croc or Captain Clown.
You killed Captain Clown!
Exactly. I think that'd be an interesting idea.
That's really cool.
But I don't know about 66.
I wouldn't. That's not what you do with 66. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. So the first thing that jumps to mind, I actually have a couple ideas with 66. The first
It's got to
thing
be a co-op though.
with what?
It's got to be co-op though. The 66.
Whatever
game.
it is. Yeah, absolutely. But Robin is just forced to do whatever Batman tells him to. and he's not allowed to drive without Batman in the car like that. You have to do that. That's wonderful. And then every time you try to do something that's like remotely illegal, Batman starts like yelling at you. So like if you try to cross, if you try to jaywalk, Batman's like, "Oh no, Robin, we can't jaywalk," and then you're not allowed to walk across the street until the light changes.
Okay, I officially have my answer for what the 66 game is.
Okay, well let me pitch you what I was gonna say first. I would do kind of an open world thing, where like Gotham's your oyster. You can go to major like areas from the show, but also like villain hideouts and like the wharf from the 60s movie and all of that. But it's like an open world detective game, and it uses the really silly detective logic of that show. What would be sticky about it is making it challenging, because you'd have to have like really specific but obvious clues, but also still make it challenging somehow,
Really
like trying to
goofy
solve
and
things.
Out of nowhere.
What's that?
Said make it really goofy and out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
Have you ever played or seen LA Noire?
I know what that is, but no, I've never played it.
So that's kind of like what you're describing, and I was thinking about that as well. That's like an open world game where you're a cop, you're a detective, and you just go from like case to case, and you have to interview people, and like you have your speech thing where it's like you have to read their face. If they're lying, you got to call them out on that and stuff like that. And you just do,
that's cool.
You just do, and it's broken up into episodes where it's like this case and this case and this case. That's probably the way to go for that. I agree.
And I would have like everybody way too reliant on Batman, so you'd be interrupted to go solve some other crime or just get a cat out of a tree or just like bring an old lady some pickles or something stupid. And if you don't do it, like things in the city start falling apart, but it's way less important things than what you're actually working on. That'd be fun. And then of course you'd have death traps.
Oh yeah, you gotta have death traps.
And then the other way I would go would be a like 2D beat 'em up in the style and maybe even using the whole story of Return of the Caped Crusaders with all of the Batman clones, and maybe you like, here's an idea. You make it 2-player co-op and you're playing as Batman and Batgirl, even though she's not in that movie, and Batman is the villain of the game, like all the different Batmans.
Oh, okay.
That would be a cool way to do that.
It should be like Donkey Kong Country Rules, where you have a Batman and Robin game, and then a Robin and Batgirl game, and then a Batgirl and Chief O'Hara game. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Ace the Bat Hound, but that would be too cool. It's got to be lamer than that.
Exactly.
And he's not in that show.
So I'm gonna go for the second one as a 2D platform, like puzzle platformer. We gotta like jump through death traps and stuff, and it'll be like Sonic, where Batman runs faster, and then the second player plays Robin, who's like Tails. But if you're Batman, you can run fast enough that Robin falls off the screen, and then he like pops back in
That's
on
great.
top.
Well, and like I just had this flash of inspiration when you said that. Yeah, make it kind of a Sonic clone, because you know what else is really cool about that?
Mhm.
Act
What's that?
1 and Act 2, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
The end of the first part of a level is a death trap. And then Act 2, you get out of the death trap and then
And
you
you fight
finish
the
the
villain.
level. Come
Yep.
on now. That's very cool.
There you go.
And you could get to the end of a level and you're in the death trap and there's an announcer that's like asking if you think he's gonna get out of it, and then like same bat time, and then the next level you get out of it somehow. But it's like a, you said puzzle platformer, like it's a puzzle where you have to figure out how to get out of the death trap
Mhm.
to get
Yeah.
to the next part of the level.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have like actual honest to god platforming in it. That sounds awesome, actually. And then every time you hit guys, like words come, above the heads. And
Batman can spin. Can spin dash.
well,
No,
and
I
it would
think
have
these
to
are both
have
great ideas.
it would have to have some gadgets in it too, being Batman. So it would be like Sonic if he had batarangs.
Yeah, exactly. You could do some sort of like Knuckles glide thing with Batman as well.
Well,
I
and
get-
also like Knuckles walking up walls, because you just
Oh no, that's exactly how you would do the walking up walls thing. I don't know if you'd
yeah
necessarily
you'd
do the gliding
throw it
thing.
and then you'd climb.
Mhm.
Sorry, what?
I don't know if you'd necessarily do the gliding thing because that wasn't really a thing yet. But like Batman gliding with his cape. But
He doesn't really do
thing.
that so much in that in any of that continuity.
That's more just a modern Batman thing in general.
Yep. But you could have him just suddenly on a whirly bat or a bat copter, I guess.
That is true.
Not,
Well, you
not
you
that the
can
whirly
do
bat was a
those
60s
specifically
thing,
as
but
like
it was
the
in the comics then.
you can do those specifically for like levels. Like you do like the Sonic plane level, and you could do that as like the Batmobile level or the Bat helicopter level.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Mhm.
No, I really want a 60s Batman game. I feel like that's the thing that we should have done by now.
Mhm. Very true.
I mean, Brave and the Bold
All
got
I
a game, so
know-
that's the closest thing we've had. But it had a really good beat 'em up on the Wii,
Mhm.
and the soundtrack
That's
for that game
cool.
is stellar.
All I know is that I can now play Arkham Knight with Pattinson Batman and 66 Robin, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
It's
messed
a
up.
beautiful mix.
Okay, well, we went well over an hour tonight, but Austin, thanks for answering Batman questions with me.
You're welcome. That was
Everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Yeah, I lost track of time because we got into those last couple of kind of hypothetical things that got interesting.
Yep.
Austin and I are going to be back in just a few minutes for anybody that wants to stick around with us, and we're going to review Dark Detective, like I said. Austin, who won Top Super Chatter?
I'm pretty sure I know, but I'm just gonna check just to make sure.
We need music for this.
Oh, you want me to? Do you want me to build to it with music? or
No,
do you
no,
want me
you're
to say
good.
it?
You're good. No, I'm
it's,
saying we need music for this. I
I
don't
see.
have anything
I
written
see.
up.
Victor Herman won.
Good job, Victor Herman.
Mhm.
So Victor, if you're still with us, send me your 5 choices, and I'll put the. Let me think for a second. Yeah, I mean, you could just leave a comment after the
On this
show
web
is
zone.
over. So
Mhm.
don't put it in the live chat. Put it after the show is over. Or you can email me at the address that's in the about page on YouTube. There's an email address there. That would be the other way to get it to me. And just tell me what 5 episodes you want. And if I don't hear from you, Austin and I will pick 5. But if you're wanting to actually do that and participate, pick your 5 episodes and send them to me in either of those 2 places.
Bada bing. There we go.
So we're at his mercy, Austin.
Well, it's time to find out if he's merciful or if he really hates us.
Or if he's Mercy who works for Lex.
Or if he's Mercy who works for Lex in BVS
Oh.
and just dies.
Well, then he's dead.
He's dead, yeah. I'm glad you're dead.
What was that choice? Why did we do that with both Mercy and Jimmy Olsen?
I don't know.
Isn't that weird?
Well, Jimmy also was just a middle finger because people were like, "Oh, that's weird that you did a gender bent Jimmy Olsen," and then they kind of hid that that's what they were doing.
Yep.
There's no way that's not what that was.
No, I know, but there's no reason to do it with Mercy. That was so random.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about Mercy. Snyder just hates DC fans. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Victor Herman says beware. Oh, no.
Oh, he's going to make us watch Beware the Batman.
No, he doesn't get to pick a different show. We did that stream.
That was fun.
It was. Well, once again, folks, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see some of you guys in a few minutes. I was Captain Logan, and this was Austin the Day Ghost. Austin, thanks for filling in for DJ. He'll be back again.
No problem, but
next
thank
week.
God DJ will be back next time. I suck as a moderator.
No, you were great. Thanks for your help, man. That's
Bye,
my story,
everybody.
and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for being here,
Okay.
guys. See you, folks.